into your area, or if it's perhaps a very old variety, is it a dual purpose one? Dual purpose ones you would pick, let's say now, and they're hard and they're green and they're cookers, and then you put it in your shed for several months, and over that period of time, the um, the starches break down to carbohydrate. Can you hear? Can they hear you coughing away there?
Sorry about that, everyone. Just letting you know that I'm recording. Carry on.
Can we get rid of that thing in the middle of the
Yes,
screen?
there it goes.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
Where was I? So some of these old ones are a dual purpose. You pick them when they're green and use them as a cooker now, for example, and then you'll put them in your shed, and perhaps at Christmas, those starches are broken down to carbohydrates and sweetened up. So it's gone from a cooker to an eater, uh, and stored well in your shed, because back in the day, we didn't have fridges. We also didn't have Zoom, so there was something good to be good for it, good said to be good for it. Um, so we're assuming we've got some trees and we don't know what they are. Um, when you buy a fruit tree off a reputable dealer like ourselves, you might get one of these really expensive labels. This is lost it.
Fly umbrellas.
Uh, can you see that, by the way? I'm
Try
not
putting
worried
it in
about.
front of your face.
I'm not.
Put it in front of your face. There we go.
That's
There's an improvement.
Top tip.
Uh,
it.
apart from this bit of advertising here, that's gone again. These labels are really expensive to make. They're made by Flora Media, which is the biggest company in the world. That we are getting printed in Holland. So if you get a label like this, like the best quality you can get, uh, after 2 or 3 years, the polypropylene breaks down. The 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 tie will perhaps break off, or it will fade and it will blow away. So after 3 or 4 years, even the most expensive labels will be lost. Sometimes you can buy labels like this. These are loop-in labels. You can laser print on them, and they last quite a while. They're quite indestructible, but as you can see, they're quite small. So as that branch, my finger, as that branch grows thicker, quite soon it will burst that, and so that label is lost. You can buy these very expensive, they're called alley tags. You bought some, Sarah, didn't you? Yeah, they cost a fortune. I've only got these because I worked for a posh old lady with a load of money, and she gave me these as a present. They're so expensive, I've never ever used one. But the ones that Sarah used at the community orchard at Namporth, they you, you just scratch onto them, but uh, they they get a patina of age, they oxidize. So quite soon you can't really see what it says, or not without looking very closely. Ideally, you want to walk past them and see straight away. Um, you can get copper labels, they're advertised quite a lot. But again, copper gets a patina of copper on it, copper oxide and copper sulfate. And again, after a few years, the label might still be there, but you can't read it. The best ones uh, that we use are these are black plastic labels, and you probably can't see, but they're actually a sandwich. They're black both sides and a white plastic a white uh, the meat of the sandwich is white plastic, so you can scratch through them like I've done here, and like I've done here, and you can see there's the name of there's that name. These kind of labels will last 20 years. Interestingly, doing my research prior to coming here, I found this label here. It's 20 years old. I know that. Um, it's faded away, as you can see, but if you can read that, can you? This was a beautiful woman that broke my heart, and I was always too scared to go round her house. Can anyone read that? It's mirror image. Can you read it?
So
Just
SC question mark.
C. Sarah Collick. I think it was a Scottish one called Stirling Castle, but it does go to show decent labels. Um, so back in the day, you would you'd label your trees, and then back in the day, you would draw a map and you hammered the map on the inside of your shed door, uh, assuming you had a shed. Nowadays, of course, you draw a map, and well, the best thing is to put it up there on the cloud, and with a bit of luck, you could be able to find it in the future. Um, so that's about the reasons for fruit ID. Uh, how not to lose your labels, so that you keep your labels, you keep your trees, you know what they are. Now, to actually find out, to identify them, what we do is we get a leaf, right, of the tree. See, there's a leaf. We put the leaf in a small plastic bag, and then we send that leaf to plant identification in Aberystwyth University, and they will genetically fingerprint it, and they tell you what it is. So that's all you really need to know now. There we are. I'm done, Sarah.
Hi, Ian.
You're supposed to act. You're supposed to be a bit bloody shocked. Back now. Uh, so assuming you don't want to spend 20 quid sending that leaf off, and after you've been through what I'm going to make you suffer with, I think you'll find that 20 quid is 20 quid well spent. Um, so what we're going to do is go through a botanical key. Some of you might have done this for O-level biology, and like me, it's probably put you off botany for the rest of your life. A simple biological key might be uh, is a flower. Um, it and the key might say, does it grow in a wet field? And the answer might be yes, it does. So you're off on your key, aren't you? Then the next question might be, does it have a red or a yellow flower? And then you go, oh, it's got a yellow flower. Then the next question might be, does if you put it under your chin, does it say whether you like butter or not? And if it does go yellow under your chin, you can say, hey, we've identified it. It's a buttercup. Um, when you're doing fruit, of course, unfortunately, it can be a lot more complicated than that. Uh, when we're going to choose our fruit off the tree, we sit under the tree because we want at least three of the most typical ones, not the biggest and the reddest, no showing off, just three of, so sit there, look at them, of the most typical ones, the most typical shape, the most typical color. Um, we, if people are coming to you and you're identifying someone that they bring them to you, you always want to have the stalk Oh, you see it. There's a stalk. We want the stalk to be intact because that's really important to identify. Um, we the fruit has to be right, i.e., I'm going to pick those off that branch. You just unhook them. You don't yank them off. When they're right, they will come off easily. The pips inside will be brown. So we want at least 3 typical ones with the stalk. What was that?
It's just somebody.
All right, okay. Someone leaving, so can't blame them. Um, you want 3 with the stalk and as typical as possible. And also, I like to get the social economic circumstances of the people that bought the tree, that planted the tree. Um, they they could have been aficionados like Sarah Collick here. She'll spend ages because it's her job, isn't it? So she might find things that work well in this area. She would do her research, not like some of you cheap buggers that would just go to Lidl's and buy them for £3. So if you know the social economic circumstances of the person that bought the tree, that helps you a lot. So we're going to start using our keys. You could buy some books, couldn't you? That's the original way of doing it. You could buy this one. Look, Muriel Smith. There's 8,000 apples in here. It'd take a while to get through that, wouldn't it? Joan Morgan. Where's she? Why does it disappear?
Yeah, it can only sort of focus on something new, really.
Yeah, Joan Morgan, 2,500 in there. Again, hard work to go through that. All of these books have their keys and they have the author's keys. Everyone's doing the same thing, but obviously slightly different. This is a useful one. This is Roseanne Saunders. See there. This seems to, yeah, there you go. It doesn't really know. This Roseanne Saunders, she's quite useful because she's only got about 120. That means if you start going through her key and out of 120, there's a chance you'll find something rather than 8,000. She's also good because all the apples within this are written chronologically. So if it's now late September, there's a chance you will find one of these here. I'm trying to get this into the screen. There's a chance you will find one of these. So because they're written chronologically, again, that will make it a bit easier for you. I've fed up with these books now because you can't see them, but
Yeah,
they're disappearing, aren't they?
yeah, no, I can't.
Don't worry about it. Just a book.
I wonder, Sarah, if you turned off your background, we would be able to see them. It depends what you might not want us to see in the background.
It's fine as long as people don't mind seeing my living room.
I know it's a bit untidy. I'm told it.
There we go.
So we should be able to see stuff you share now, Ian.
Oh, there we go.
There we
Look
go.
at that.
That does
Well,
look
you didn't miss much. It was just they were just props I was trying to hide behind. The other way of doing this,
So I'll show them that one.
well, just says book with, it just says apples
Yeah,
written
it's
on it.
hard to see it anyway, isn't it?
It doesn't matter.
I'll put it back up.
So we either go through a key in our book or send a little leaf off to the university at Aberystwyth, or we can go to the fruit identification website. That's fruit ID. Can we get rid of that, Sarah, on the screen?
Yeah, I will
Sorry.
in a second. Just
Oh yeah, that's right. If you go to fruit ID, that is a massive, massive website. that there are hundreds and hundreds of criteria you can look at. Originally, I assumed that we could split our screens and have one side me holding an apple, pointing out salient features, and the other side we could have the relevant page of fruit ID, but that is not technically possible. Can we get these off, Sarah? Is that
I can find.
possible? Sorry about this.
Carry on.
But we've decided that is not technically possible. So when you want to identify things, use the Fruit ID website. It is massive and it's quite disconcerting when you look at it. So hopefully today I will go through some of these and make you a bit more familiar with that website, although we can't see it, and listen to me yabbering on all the time, to make you not scared of it. It's a fantastic thing. It's thousands of person hours work. I know some of these people, and they're in another league. They're so keen. They're so fixated with it. I've been to some of their meetings at other university, and you know how you get these learned professors argue about bugger all. I remember I was at a 3-hour meeting, and I did learn one thing. If you hold your breath, you can't die. You can't kill yourself. You've lost the will to live, but you can hold your breath as long as you like, and you will not die. You have to suffer those bloody boring meetings. So I'll look at some of the salient features you might want to look at. What I've got here is, I'll show you it roughly. It's laminated notes. This is my own list of characteristics that I made myself, amalgamating years and years of these boring books. So first of all, I mean, interesting thing about the Fruit ID website is it doesn't say very much at all about taste. It just says sweet or sour. Whereas if you taste it, especially if it's one you know, especially, excuse me, yeah, so, it can really help you, especially if it's an interesting one. There are, I think, about 8 basic flavors of apples. We have sweet, which of course is which almost all of the fruit now in the supermarkets is basically a sweet one. You also get a honey flavored, and often you get several of these flavors joined together. So sweet and honey would be like golden delicious. It's just cloying. It's overpowering and not very attractive. There's aromatic, which is the flavour like of a Cox's orange pippin. The flavour of a Cox's orange pippin. There's sour ones, obviously, cookers. There's raspberry flavoured ones, or raspberry strawberry, like this one here you've probably seen. You can see that actually. That's Discovery. That's an early eater. A lot of people will have in their gardens, as quite a pink stained flesh inside, and it smells very distinctive, and taste of it of strawberry. Another one might be this cheeky little thing here. This is called Pitmaster pineapple. So pineapple is one of those flavors you can get. You can also get aniseed fennel sort of flavors like this thing here, which is an Irish one called Ross Nonpareil. So there's 8 different flavors. You have a chew of those and you're on your way. You then people ask people if they bring you a fruit, what season they use it or what season they pick it. That will help you. The size helps you a bit. Size is important, as we all know. They can be little tiny tots like this. This is one called Golden Knob, a Devonshire apple, or it could be a big boy like this one. So size helps, but remember that if these people are picking fruit from a very old trees tend to produce lots of little tiny ones. Young trees tend to produce much bigger fruit. That's one of the reasons why they're always grubbing up orchards. Um, Also, if you thin the fruit, if you just leave the tree, um, you get lots of small fruit. If you thin those fruit out, you will get much bigger ones. So, but size does tell us quite a lot. We have our different shapes. Again, all this stuff is on the Fruit ID website, but unfortunately we can't see it on the screen now. Different shapes, for example, this one is flat, isn't it? Compared with uh, this thing here. This would be called flat or flat round. This one here would be called something like round conical. There's 7 or 8 basic sort of shapes. Remember, we're dealing with biological entities, so they vary. But with Fruit ID website, when you start hitting that, it has quite a lot of fuzzy logic. So if you're calling that flat round, and in fact the experts at Fruit ID call it flat, you will still, in theory anyway, it will still steer you along that path. Excuse me, let's have a drink of this. Still, that was the overall shape of the tree, wasn't of the fruit rather. Um, Again, we'll go to Fruit ID and then it will say, does it have ribs? We got ribs, haven't we, of course? So do some fruit. Look at this thing here. You can see that would be, see the ribs there, usually 5. Everything's a multiple of 5 because there's 5. There are 5 seed sacs. So everything's there's 5 ribs and they're quite prominent. Some more so than this thing here. If we got our little pen knives out, and we can cut them in half. This one here, you can see it's quite round, isn't it? Uncharacteristically round. Most fruit are slightly off round like this thing here, but this one is really round, and I've no idea what it is. It looks like it's wax, doesn't it? Waxing. It looks like something out of a stage set or something, but it's not because it's got a rotten apple inside. I have no idea what it is. I think this could be something I've seen in Tesco's and said, "Oh, I wonder what that is." Bought them, and then just out of interest, because it's so perfect and symmetrical. Uh, I think it's a new introduction in Tesco's. I might have had one bite and chucked it because it's not very interesting. But it does look. You could hang that off your Christmas tree, couldn't you? You know what I mean? It's strange. But so most of them aren't round; they are irregularly shaped. and of course in the Tesco's supermarket, they they look nice. You can see how the buyer of in Tesco's would like these because he assumed that's what the British housewife would like. Something nice and neat and tidy. Well, quite a few. Again, there'll be up when you go to Fruit ID, they will say some are lopsided. This perfect wax thing here, as it were, from Tesco's. This one here, you can see there it is. You can see it's quite lopsided, isn't it? There's quite a few are like that. Some are a common one that Fruit ID will ask for if they're wasted. That doesn't mean stoned out their heads. It means that they go in at the bottom, so there's a bit of a nose at the bottom. And I haven't got an example here. Adam's pearmain, if you know what that looks like. Are we frozen here, Sarah? Does everyone give up? Oh, anyone, we're just having a
Can
slight
still hear
technical.
you fine, but you
Okay, I think
froze a
we're
bit.
all right
But
again now, aren't we? Are we okay again now? Can
Yeah.
you see us?
Yeah, I'm back. Yeah, I don't know where I was. So some of them are wasted as well. Um, at, at the bottom, it goes in like Adam's pearmain, if you know that, quite a good distinctive feature. Um, when people bring you fruit to identify, well, for example, we'll look at the skin characteristics because that's relatively easy. Um, if if someone brings me one and it's really diseased, I probably won't know what it is because I'm not interested because I only grow and I'm only interested in varieties that are disease resistant. So if someone brings me a scabby old thing, I won't know what it is because I don't care. So I'll just chuck it, tell them to smarten up. Um, this this apple here, you would say, has a yellow ground cover. It's yellow, isn't it? But it has a flush of red, and as you know, uh, lots of varieties do that kind of thing. Um, the patch of colour can be mottled, like see these little spots on this. Yeah, like can you you see it, Jim, on your screen? Yeah, they're mottled, aren't they? They're little dots. Uh, and this is Discovery, and it's got that mottling from Beauty of Bath, one of the parents. Um, it could be striped like this one here, when it could have big stripes, or it could be splashed, where you get your paintbrush, as it were, and splash them. See those little splashes? So all that will be on your fruit ID thing for you to when you help you analyze. Um, some you can feel them as well. Feel them, which is a bit hard to do on a Zoom meeting, I imagine. Um, some some skins are dry, uh, like this thing here. It's really you can hit. Can you probably hear that? It's so dry. Can you hear that? Can you hear
I
that?
can hear it, but
I think they can hear it. Can you hear that?
I've muted them all.
They're all going to sleep.
I've
Oh, they're all
muted
muted. Sorry. Anyway, you can hear that surely.
them.
So that one's very dry. Uh, others others are greasy, and some are actually oily. Uh, all this the grease and the oil uh, helps the apples store well. And those of you that are interested in your good looks, like me, if you handle a lot of fruit, greasy fruit, you rub it into your wrinkles. It's better than Botox. You can feel your face relaxing. Uh, there's a market out there for bottling this grease and the oils that are on apples. If I can feel it now with this one, I can feel my hands feeling 10 years younger. So there's a top tip there. Some of them have got a skin that's called hammered. Again, you can't really do this with a zoom, but you very gently feel it, and you can. It's like a little pixie up that tree's been hammering it with a little hammer, and you can't see it very well, but you can certainly feel it. Others have a very characteristic hairline, which is a raised line that you can feel. It's very characteristic. You can feel it. It's slightly raised and rough. I don't know why they do that. That goes from the top bit to the bottom bit. That all helps you with your identification, and you will see that mentioned on your Fruit ID website. This one here, this is still on the skin. This one that's, excuse me, it's dry and it's rusted. Excuse me. This is an Egremont russet, which you've probably seen in Tesco's, but less and less now, because as they say in the trade, they have to be red. So this looks a bit like a potato. So your British housewife will walk past it. So Mr. Tesco's will not, you don't see them anymore. You certainly don't see Discovery, which you used to see it. That was the quintessential British early apple in Tesco's when I were a lad, but you don't see it anymore. For an early apple, they will import something from South Africa or New Zealand that's been in storage for 3 months, rather than a freshly picked Discovery, for example. And so they've all gone, and Egremont russet is going. You don't see so many there. Quite a few varieties have that nice rusted look. Like this little thing here, look. Oh, this is my golden knob again. You can see it's russeted that side, but then it's broken on the back there. That's often called netting. It looks like a net, doesn't it? A little bit like a net. And some varieties are covered in russeted netting. 5 minutes and stop.
Mm-hmm.
Will they last that long, do you think? I don't know. That's only what I don't know. This is really boring. When you just look, you can't see. Yeah, look. You can't see anybody either. You've got no feedback. They don't have to stifle their yawns.
You didn't ask me to make them all go away. That's why.
Yeah. Another easy thing. There's loads of really difficult things on Fruit ID, especially when you get your little knives and you start looking inside at all the core structure and all that stuff. It's a bloody nightmare. An easy one that the likes of us could help us identify is the stalk. Remember, I said earlier, when you're sat under your tree, spaced out, being at one with Mother's Nature, looking at those apples up there, looking for your 3 most typical ones, you always pick them with the stalk. So this thing here, look, that's got a long stalk. I put it against my pale skin here. I'm not this pale, am I? No, can't. What, pale like that? No, can't you give me a bit of de-wrinkling or something? A filter, yeah, exactly, yeah. I don't make them that strong. Yeah. So this one was obviously a long, thin stalk. This one here is a short, fat stalk. There it is. You can see them there, can't you? Long and that obviously helps you identify, and they're easy ones for the likes of us that aren't that good. Um, because when you go to your Fruit ID website, if you will get, let's say you get a choice of 6, well, that's all right. You can then, you get a choice of 6, there's a good chance you'll get it, especially if one of the ones or some of the ones that they give you a Fruit ID you've never heard of. No one's ever heard of them. So you can get rid of those. It might be some foreign one. Get rid of that, of course. I don't want to sound like my friend Nigel, but get rid of the foreign ones. And then out of that 6, you got there's a chance there's only 2 to choose from. So we do the easy stuff like the stalk, and that makes a lot of difference. What you don't do is pick things like this. This is a bit deformed, isn't it? When you get a bunch of apples on a truss, often the one at the end is called the king fruit. He's the king for obvious reasons. He's bigger and better than all the others, but quite often has a deformed stalk. So you won't pick a king fruit when you're trying to identify. Some still on the stalk thing. Some do have ugly little stalks like that, often with a sometimes with a protuberance on one side. See there, that kind of thing. You can, I mean, Fruit ID will go on about stalks for ages. They've got the length, you've got the thickness. Some of them, uh, uh, some of them have a thickening where it goes into the into the apple itself. Some have a thickening at the end. Oh, mine was just broken off. Some have a thickening at the end. So all of that stuff was, and stalks are easy for the likes of us, rather than start cutting the thing open. The cavity is where the stalk goes in. That there, yeah, that's called the cavity. They can go right in deep, or they can be quite flat. The stalks can be inserted at an angle. Look at this thing here, look. And if that's quite typical, that will help us when we looking through all this really difficult stuff on Fruit ID. But stalk is a good one. Uh, I'll just go underneath this thing now, look, and go to underneath. They call the basin, and there, that bit in the middle, they call the eye. Me and you, we've got 2 eyes. Apples aren't so good; they've only got one. But there, and that eye is the remains of the sepals of that enclose the flower. I don't know what sepals are. Then maybe they're modified petals. I don't know. The stuff around the flower opens up. All the lovely flowers come, and then eventually they fall off because that's what life is about. And then the apple is left with um, in this basin here, the eye. Again, this is easy stuff for the likes of us that are a bit useless. Easy stuff for us to use the Fruit ID website. You can see that eye, bit like me. Look, one eye open. Look, that eye is open, isn't it? You can see there was a hole there. Where? Oh, well done, thank you.
Sorry.
My assistant here has found this one. This eye is shut. Can you see? Take my word for it. Take Sarah's word for it, even more importantly. So eyes can be shut or open, or obviously stages in between. And then the remains of the sepals, they can be the little bits you see there, they can be all kinds of things. They can be erect, convergent, they can be erect, they could be conivent, they could be flat convergent, they could be divergent, or they could be reflex. Once you get into that depth, you just want to lose the will to live, which I'm sure most of you lot, if anyone's left out there, are we done?
I think we're done.
There we go.
Nice. Have everyone back. And,
We're all still here, enjoying the
everyone's
delivery. It's
still
great.
here.
Yes.
Yeah, and, so, Lisa, are there any questions in the chat before we get started on in-person questions?
We had one from Jane asking the openness of the eye. Does it depend on the species, not the ripeness, is it?
Can you say that again, please?
Whether the eye is open or not, is
Yeah.
that depends what species it is rather than
Or
how
what
ripe.
variety?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. So it's an easy one for the likes of us to help go through our keys, isn't it? You can see whether the eye's open or closed. Once you all that stuff at the end about whether the sepals, the bits around the eye, or uneven or erect or whatever, that becomes a nightmare. Which I don't think. Well, I can't be bothered with. Some of you lot might be keen. I don't know.
Have we got any questions? If you'd like to ask a question, put your hand up with the little react
Got
thing
one
at the bottom.
asking what's the name of the black plastic labels that you scratch on and where did you find it?
Oh, buggered if I know. I mean, I've had them for years. I think they're called scratch-on labels, if you can remember that. But they are good. They are, like I say, that one with SC for sericolic, it's got to be 20 years old. When you buy these labels, often the tie is ridiculously thin and breakable, and as you can see, and also these near the edge, that's going to cut through, isn't it? So here you can see I've re-drilled this one and put a much stouter bit of wire and plastic coated, so that will last a lot longer. Also, if you do your own ones, remember that little branch will one day be a great big fat branch, won't it? So put on plenty, put it on really loose rather than just a small piece like that, because one day you'll go back there and it would have broken, or it would have constricted the tree. Aren't these too nice? Look, it was cut. She doesn't believe it. Of course, it wasn't coincidence. Ian and SC. How much longer before we switch them off?
How did Ian get into the Apple business? I just want to tell you all before you answer that question. Two things. Thank you, Ian, for turning up and doing this when he's been ill in bed. But also, I've got some really useful links which I am going to post in the chat. So the screen might look a bit funny for a minute, Ian. So the question is, how did Ian get into the Apple business?
Well, more important thing, how does he get out of it? Oh, I don't know. Well, I've done loads of things. This is just what I'm doing now. I used to run around Vancouver Island with a chainsaw, but I'm not going to be doing that for a while. I don't think. I hope not. Anyway, it's just something we all end up doing something, don't we? Well, when you've got a degree in marine biology from Bangor, what else are you going to do? I told my mum once. She said, "Hey, and what are you doing at that university?" And I said, "Zoology, mum." And she said, "What? Feeding buns to the elephants in the zoo?" Now I don't know. Can't remember now.
Which heritage species?
Oh, what are you reading?
I'm reading the chat.
Oh, go on. Yeah, go on then.
Which heritage species does Ian think are most reliable and tasty eaters?
Well, they're all unreliable to an extent. So don't be a cheapskate. Don't just buy one tree from the likes of us. Buy several. But if you don't have any land, of course, not like Sarah Colic here with her rolling acres, you could buy one tree. You could buy one tree, and then it has several branches, 5 branches now, isn't it? And then you can graft. You could graft branches to make that a family tree. Then you've got 5 different ones. And if you want any graft wood, we don't charge. You get in touch with us in March when we're sick of grafting, and we will send you some. Or you can go or you can go to your local garden centres with your little snippers and your handbag or pocket and pop bits in there. I'll get them off of people, friends. But so if you've only got space for one tree, have a family tree. Because at the end of the day, um, the the most popular size trees we sell are going to be about 15 foot high and spread. They're going to produce about 120 pounds of fruit. What are you going to do with that? Give it to your ungrateful neighbours. That's all you can do with it, isn't it?
Yeah.
That answer that question.
I
So
think so.
yeah, so grow a variety because they all have good years and bad years. It's like fine wine, isn't it? Apparently, some years are better than others. Also, if you had a family tree, you've only got one. You can have a cooker and a cider one and or whatever.
Helen's asking, is it true that an apple a day keeps the doctor away, and have you had your apples a day?
I think you need at least another one, Ian.
Well, no, but you want to eat something like that, you're welcome. Be my guest. No, I try to avoid them, of course. Go on.
I think we were out of questions. Would anybody else just like to ask a question in person that's not in the chat? Caroline, you can unmute yourself.
Can I get rid of my tree?
Hi Ian, that was great. I'm a regular or irregular Apple ID user, but I find it a bit overwhelming, and how you talked about it has been really useful. So thank you for that. Can I just ask you, this has been a bumper year for apples. So should we expect next year to be really quite not very much fruit at all?
A very good question, Caroline. Yeah, if 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 the trees overproduce, that's usually because of the weather. Yeah. If it's overproduced, the chances are it's used up its reserves, giving you too much. So the chances are you will get an off year next year. So what you should always do is thin the fruit out if you're organic, um, and eat an eating apple, so one every 4 inches. Chuck them, the little ones, because it'll exhaust the tree, and they're no use to you, are they? You say you've got to give them to your ungrateful neighbours. So if you thin them out, you will get a more even crop over the lifetime of the tree and over your lifetime. If you're a commercial grower, you could be, I don't know. What you do, you spray them. You spray them with hormones, and they colloquially call the hormone thinners because it thins the fruit out. So if you're commercial, doing a proper job, you spray these hormones, and a lot of that excess fruit will fall off. The only problem with that is if you've got it wrong, you've timed it wrong, you've done too much, that can that that can affect fruit bud development the next year. But then that's all right. You can spray another load of hormones, and then you get a bit of, we've all got hormones, even boys apparently. It all goes up and down, eventually fades away. But it's once you start chucking hormones at a tree, you're really asking for trouble. It's like if you start chucking loads of inorganic fertilizers on a tree. If you, I I thought I had a calcium deficiency in one bunch of trees. They were getting a distorted leaf, which is characteristic of a calcium deficiency. So what did I do? I chucked a load of calcium on. But what that calcium did, that knocks out the iron. So that means that, or the magnesium, then, the magnesium that's in the chlorophyll, that means the tree can't then absorb iron and you get chlorosis, you get yellow leaves. Once you get into that business, it gets heavy duty. That's why it's much better to just be organic, just give them a bit of milk or something.
Blaine's got a question.
Go on then.
Jane?
Oh, hello. Yes, I asked a question about reliable eaters, mainly because I'm involved with growing apples in parks. And I want the children that come to our inner city parks to be able to pick an apple from the tree. And a lot of them are a bit disappointed with our forest garden and orchard trees because obviously if they just pick a cider apple or a cooking apple, it's not the same. So I'm trying to develop patches where we deliberately plant child-friendly apples, and I still want to stick to heritage varieties. So, I mean, I think discovery, because it's early, is good. And I've got Katie that I like, but I was wondering if you could recommend a good flavoured heritage variety that could be planted in areas near the playgrounds.
How old are these kids?
Well, any age. They're going to be with their parents until they're about 10 or older. So it's also the young teenagers as well as the kids that are being looked after.
Well, young teenagers they're not interested anyway, are they? They've got better things to think about. What I might suggest something like the Bardsey Island apple because it's sweet and crunchy and juicy. It's like a supermarket apple.
You think that's the best pippin?
Pardon?
The island pippins, like your favourite?
No,
pippin?
apple, not pippin.
Oh.
Yeah, write that down.
In the chat.
Okay.
It is a good. I can.
It's an easy one. It's not. Some of these it will take a bit of getting you. Well, like if you fine wines, I don't know what they drink. Those kids. I mean, they probably drink alcohol pops. Well, they're very tasty, but with a fine wine, you've got to savour it, haven't you? If you're going to spend good money, say more than £5, well, not that much, but if you're going to spend, say, £5 on a fine bottle of wine, you want to savour it. If you just want it like an alco pop, see what I'm saying?
Yes, I do. Thank you.
That's right.
It's 5 o'clock. We're quite good at finishing these things on time. So, but if anyone has got another question before we say thank you very much and goodbye, do crack on. Anybody? No? Okay.
I will say, go for your fruit identification. Go to your fruit ID website. Don't be scared of it, and don't try to get to the last one. If you've got half a dozen, that's you're going to get it. And any other stuff about growing fruit, and you really want to get bored stiff, go to my website, Ian Sturrock and Sons. Just Google West Fruit Trees, and there's about 20, 30 videos, and they will bore you stiff. They've seen nothing yet.
Ian's website and the Fruit ID site and the really good article on Apple ID are all in the chat. There's a big long message I put in there. So if anybody wants to copy and paste that, you'll find some good stuff in there. So it just remains for me to say thank you very much to Ian for showing up and doing this for us off his sick bed. And I found it really fascinating. And I've tried using Fruit ID and come a copper, but now I think I'll have a better chance. So
I've come proper quite a lot, to be honest.
Yeah.
I want to go there. What we will try and do,
isn't it?
Yeah,
is we often send out a sort of thank you for joining and a summary of the chat as well, just on an email to you if you registered. So don't be too worried if you haven't managed to capture the chat, especially if you're busy in the polytunnel, Frank, people like that. So we'll do that for you as a follow-up. Might take us a few days, but hopefully we'll get that out to you fairly soon.
And this webinar will be on our YouTube channel in a couple of weeks, along with all our other ones. There's loads of great ones on there. We have one every month. So if you're a member, you'll get emails about them. And we hope to see another one. So thank you very much, everybody.
Just a quickie,
Well done.
Ian, I just wanted to ask you, Ian, I sent you a quick message about Sunday, the work day. So can you just have a quick look at your email and
Yeah, I've seen
Get
it.
back.
I don't
Oh,
know how I'll
brilliant.
be feeling.
no,
I
exactly.
intend to go there.
Just yeah, okay. But hopefully see you there, Sarah. And
Yeah,
maybe Ian,
yeah.
if you feel better. Remember to have an
Yeah.
apple. Keep the doctor away.
I don't feel that bad. Bloody
Yeah.
hell.
Thank you so much. It was been brilliant.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Ta.
Thanks all.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Thanks, Ian. Thanks, Sarah.
You bet. You
Really
bet.
good. Great.
Brilliant.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Okay, I'm going to press end.